Hello, hello, hello. This is Darcy. I am making a video just for my Facebook groups so I can share this and share some of the techniques that I've used, hopefully. So this is like the third time I've tried making this video. Sorry. This is a button that I've used, and I used this to attach it into the hole that I made 1/8-inch hole in the book itself with the memory keeper's punch. But then I didn't know this is what I was going to do, and I had put an eyelet in it like I did here. So then I had to try to get the eyelet out, and that's why I have a band-aid. So I put, this is one of those buttons that has the back, so I put it through the hole with some of this Alien's Original Jewel-Lit Embellishing Glue and let it sit overnight, and it seems to be in there pretty strongly. And for this, you don't see any of the strings. What I do is I put down my fabric, I put in my signatures, and then I glue this over here and have just that little bit that comes up on the bottom to cover that part. And then here I have the mixed media collage page that I made the other day. I don't know if you can see it real close. There's a collage, there's stamping, there's stenciling, and then there's my brother created this Scuffy tugboat for me. I did alter the color a little bit on this particular one, but I printed it and I cut it out, and I altered the color just by using some markers. Actually, I do have one in here, you'll see that is original. And then I just put this here and a little piece of trim here, because I used the brown mailing tape to, what is the word I want? To fortify where the bend is in the book, because I don't cut that off like a lot of people do. And so I needed to cover that. Then I have a pocket here from a book page, did a little sewing around that. And I have a lot of dyed pages. That's what most of the pages are. And then here I have this page for a little tuck, which these were pieces from the other side. So on the other side of this is this. So I have the little ducklings that I had put on, and I had attached it to the page in front of it to make a pocket and glued the little ducklings on there. So that's what I did on this side. And so on this side I was left with this and this. So I attached this so that I could make that pocket. And then we have just the card in there. And then I glued this down here. So I had, this is a skinny little pocket. And then this is a bigger pocket back there. And then I had a mixed media piece of paper about that big that I cut down to make some tags and corner tucks. And sewed around that book page. And then this is just a card that I made into a pocket. And then I did some stenciling here, and I got that unique color because I was using a green, and the last time I used that stencil I had used a red, so that's how I ended up with that unique texture blend of color just by accident. And this is a pocket that I made. I sewed around it, and then I glued it on as a pocket. And then I have some of my dyed Rolodex cards, and this I did with food coloring. And I also had some watercolors too, because there's some pearlescent in there, some glittery bits from the pearlescent paints. Because my friend wanted me to make some backgrounds, and she wanted me to use the pearlescent paints, and so I was playing around with those that day. Got an envelope here that I just sewed there for pretty, and it is in the signature, goes through there to the signature. And then I just glued those little bits on there because it went with that there. And then this is the middle of the signature. So I have my strings in the pocket. And then these fold out as journaling spots. But they fold up so you can see the picture, because it's a nice big spread. And I don't like to cover those up if I don't have to. That's just a little stamp. Now it doesn't want to, there we go. And then this is a card that I glued here, here, and here to make a side pocket. So you have that and that, and then we have a corner tuck. And then I had this little charades card that had boat, and I just put a cow sticker on the other side. And then I have some of these. This is just a little one. This was an acrylic background that I had made, and I cut down into tags. So here I just folded it to make the pocket and sewed around the pocket. This is from a magazine, and I just put it on the other side of another one of these. So the ones that are, there's 3 of these. I had another piece of multimedia paper, that mixed media paper. I always say multimedia, I don't know why. Mixed media paper, and I cut it down, and I had those 3. And this one I sewed, and then I glued that on. And I've got some vintage postcards and stuff in here. And then this is the other side of that pink paper, and this is one of the pieces that I was inspired by Shell of the Rambling Crafter when I made that. So I had the page that I glued the cow to. I attached it to the pink to make the pocket, and then I added that to the top. And then this is a tag, that's index card that I dyed, and that's from Little Toot. And this is the last piece of that watercolor paper, and I decoupaged some tissue paper onto it, which looks kind of like swirls of water. More postcard, and then I had put some of the tickets for whoever gets that to play with it. And then the vintage book page, which I sewed across the bottom. And then this was in a swap, because I am in a group that does swaps. This might be showing this in a group that doesn't do swaps, but I'm not saying I'm doing swaps in this group. I'm just saying that's where that came from. And then this is the side I showed you before that I had used the 2 pieces of the 2 pages to make that pocket. Why? Oh, there. And then I have a couple of those cards in there. And then this is a pocket. It's a double pocket. So I just glued down that page and glued down this one, which was longer. So I folded it over and then folded it down to get that little corner tuck. So this piece of paper was about this long. So instead of cutting it off, I folded it over this way and then sewed like that, and then folded it down for a little corner tuck. And then here's another piece of that acrylic background. I think that was the acrylic one. I did one with oils, and I don't know which is which. But I put that in there. And this is a second signature. And this was, I made the same day that I was making all that stuff after I was inspired by Shell. And then I did a live with Penny Souther. She's in a few of these. She's probably in all the groups that I'm going to be sharing this in. And that was one of the things we made. It's just got some goodies in there. And another tag from the background that I had made. It's got a number. Like, I think I used heavy gesso to do the stenciling, and then I sewed around that one. And then the back is some of the crumpled dyed paper. And then this was a picture from a magazine I put on the index card and just folded that up for a pocket. Help if I put that on the right way. And then this page is, I had a page I wanted to use that was not long enough to do 2 full pages. So this is from a children's book by Gyo Fujikawa, and I had cut it so it was just one side of the actual book, which is a good size book, and I had this much that came over, so I turned that into a pocket and attached it to the page in front of it, which I also attached this one to the page in front of it to make this big pocket. And then on the other side here I made a corner tuck, but this wraps around enough that I also have a pocket up there. Let's see what else. And then I had some dyed paper that I made the corner for that. And then this another one where I had multiple pages. So I have this Ideals, and it is, there's the other side of the Ideals page, and then this the Fujikawa that I just folded up. So that's one pocket, and then the other one is this one comes all the way over and is glued on there. So that's how I went from here to here. And this is, I did a master board with mixed media and cut those all up to get those cards. And this is just more dyed paper. I do a lot with dyed paper. I dyed all these papers myself. Some are tea dyed. The other ones are food coloring. I use perforated pans or the aluminum hobby sheets. So that's another one of those. In this pocket, everything was going to fall out the way it was. So I just kind of smushed it together and glued the middle so that they would be a little more snug to hold things. And this actually came in one of my AliExpress orders. So I backed it with some of my dyed paper. That's from an Ideals page. And I backed it onto this paper here, which, let's see, that connects to, here's the other side of that. All right, so this blue page is this blue page, and the Ideals page goes over a little bit, but you can't see it. It's underneath that pocket, so I covered that with the pocket. So that's how these two pages are connected with that pocket there. Let's see. And then this is the middle part of the signature. It's a pocket. This was from a map. There was just some pretty pictures on the map, and I backed it with some book page to, make it a little more secure. And the strings are in there. And then another guest check that I dyed. I have a lot of fun with dyeing, as you can see. And then you should have seen these. I fussy cutted some pictures here and there. And then there's more dyed Rolodex cards and more vintage postcards. And then this was another thing that I made, inspired by Shell. And I used this particular page from this book because it had the water lilies on it. And I did this page shorter on purpose just to add some interest. This is from an Ideals book. Did a double pocket here. In each, I wanted to bring in this number stencil because I had it on that background that I did. So each signature has one page with some more stenciling. Let's see. Oh, and I added just some cardstock that was dyed that to be used. And I showed you that. And that. And so we have a third signature. This is the other mixed media page that I made. So I don't know if you can see, this is raised. I did this with heavy gesso and a stencil. It's got the collage in the back. It's got stamping and stenciling. And so I did the collage paper and the gesso. I have a whole video on it on my YouTube page. But, well, no, I don't. I haven't put it up yet. I wasn't sure if I was going to or not. So that's what that is. I had some dyed paper in there that was really dark dyed, but once I put the gesso on it and it got wet, a lot of the color lifted. But that kind of was cool. And then some of these are actually ones I printed from my computer for the backgrounds. And then this is similar to one that Pam on the Paper Outpost did with an envelope. I just sliced the pockets. Not totally happy with where I put the glue because some of the pockets are like super short. But I just filled it with a bunch of fun little stuff. And I meant to keep that top pocket open, but I didn't. So I glued that butterfly on there so people would know. And then this is probably the most complicated thing I did in the whole... I know, you're like seeing some complicated stuff, but wait till you see this. So there was like a square that came out here. So I cut that across here. And then I flipped that. So that one that I cut from here is now this way with the stripes going up and down. Then there's an envelope in here, which is folded up on this side. don't know if you can see that good. So it's folded up here to make this pocket. So this I glued and then sewed there. Made that pocket, and then that can stop there because I turned the envelope up there. And then this side has, this is the envelope flap right here. Left it open so I could use that as a tuck. And then I, you know, glued these two sides here, so I have that as a tuck as well. So that's how I did that one. And then this one I did double flip ups. It's like that Rita Donnelly flip up, but I did it on each side. So to do that, I just do my 2 squares, and then you just have to cut this piece right here so that it will flip up and down easily. And then what you have is a nice big pocket right here. So this is the one that that's unaltered, that has all the colors he did, my brother did when he did it on his phone. He did that on his phone. I don't have that ability. And he is just a very talented artist. This is from the background that I made. What do we call it again? Well, anyway, this piece that got cut out from it, from the, I hate words. But this I also did the heavy gesso on there for that tag. And I used a really thin paper when I did the masterboard. Thank you. That's the word I wanted. So that they wouldn't be too thick, but they are thick enough that they work as tags. And more map. I don't know why I only put one piece of this in here. I should have done more. So I have all these little half pages because originally I was going to do this when I first started picking out my pages for Little Golden Books. I was going to do them 3-ring bound because I was afraid to do this pamphlet stitch, which I still am doing wrong. Eventually I'll do it the right way. So I stuck these in here anyway because I liked the colors. So it gives a little interest with a shorter page. You can see things behind it. This one I did the ripped double pocket. And that's another from the masterboard. And put another little Scuffy tugboat. Since I print them, I can print them whatever size. And then more of that wrinkled paper on the back. That's one that I dip the paper and then crumple it up. And that's from Little Toot. Somebody can turn it into a pocket if they want to, or use it as a journal card. But I had bought the Little Toot book purposefully to add more to this. So then I just made a pocket here from the moon from the bird book. And this is just a Tim Holtz. This is just a journal card. And I messed up on my sewing, which is why that's cut off on the corner there. So, you know, you don't have to destroy everything. You can just clip off a corner. So this half page I put up in the middle this time, and I folded this over and I glued it and then sewed it to make this little pocket. And then there's one more of that background that I made, and dyed cardstock. There's several of those in there. Then in the middle of this signature I have Winnie the Pooh. It's raining, it's pouring, because that's what's happening in the book. And this one is the middle of the signature, so it's got the little pocket in there, and I did a double pocket so that it would be a little bit tighter. And then these canasta cards fit in there perfectly, and they're nice and snug because they're about the same height. And then somebody gave me this card, and I added the dragonfly on the back, and that was the cutoff from the pocket because the index card is one of those jumbo index cards, so it's a little too big. So I just stuck that in there because it's dyed paper, and who doesn't love dyed paper? And then this I folded over so you could see the color on both sides, but you can flip it out and write on it. I don't like to show white. I don't know what my problem is with white space. We all have that problem, don't we? And then I added this little double pocket. I seem to put Frog and Toad in just about everything. So, you know, well, Toad's not in here, but Frog is. And then another Rolodex card that I glued a little stamp to. So we've got this kind of a page with shells. Use that card. Another stamp up there. Another one of my pockets that I dyed. I think something got messed up there. That's why that's clipped off there too. Oh no, that's just where the page ends. Never mind. And this is one of those jumbo index cards that I dyed. And this is just, I had printed, I just love houndstooth, and I printed that off my computer. And that's from a AAA magazine. All roads lead to the ocean. Another dyed paper. This was from an Etsy purchase, but the compass rose was perfect, and this green was perfect. Another journal card from Tuesday morning, I believe. And I used this particular map because it had a lot of river in it. Oh man, look what I just did. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm gonna leave those out so I remember to fix that corner. And then here is, this was like this Winnie the Pooh. There's some round circle ones, and it was light blue, and I used the weathered wood distressed ink over it to make it look a little more like chain. And then I ended up matching that little whale perfectly, which was also a gift from somebody in a group. And then this is from the Graphics Fairy, that background, and I just stuck that in there as a little journaling space. And then this also folds down as journaling space, and I used a lot of washi tape on that page because I'm just worried about it. I'm very worried about that map page. It's not very thick, and then I've got a lot on it. So, and then this was the other side of that stripe paper. I just did the front of a card and made a pocket. And this is also from that AAA book. The page split in the middle of the book, of the magazine. That's where it split. So I just did a tuck on each side, and that was from an Etsy purchase, some vintage stuff. And that's actually where I just was testing my machine to make sure the thread was working right. And then more of my dyed guest checks. The pink ones I got at Walmart. The pink guest checks. They cost a little bit more. I know there were some people that really wanted something besides green, and you might have to pay a little bit more, or you might be able to find some on Etsy. I don't know. And then this was the other embellishment inspired by Shell, the Rambling Crafter, of her ephemera videos that she made. And then a little bit more trim here. And that was it. I think I showed you all the techniques that I have going on in there. So, and this works really well. I just go around it one time and tighten it, and it stays closed. So, and it's not too bad of a gator mouth. I was worried when I first put it together. I thought for sure it was going to be perfect. Like, I thought it was going to be not too thick, not too thin, because I thought I had about the same amount of pages originally that I do in this one. And this one's too thin. But this was a 2-inch spine, and this is a 1 3/4 inch spine. Which I think I prefer the 1 3/4 inch spine. But I must have added more pages between adding pages and then sewing this onto the front of the 2 signatures. Obviously, I added more paper because even before I filled it, it was about like that before I added more stuff to it, and now it's like that with stuff added to it. But that holds it nicely. I can't believe that just one time around that button, ha, she says, holds it so well. Hope my button's not coming loose. That's what I'm worried about. So I was trying something new, but you can always wrap it more than once too. So I don't know. Hopefully he's not too tight in there. So that is my Scuffy tugboat, all finished. I need to keep him closed so I don't try to add more stuff because he's full. Thanks for watching. If you've watched this far, I appreciate it. Have a delightful day, everybody. Much love. I want to apologize for all the noise in the background, but everybody's home and there's no good time.